Aloha, everyone. This is Jason Schwartz, your host, here at the Neutral Zone, 88.5 FM, KAKU, the voice of Maui, simulcast on Akaku Maui Community TV Media, Channel 55. You'll find it in Maui Stream, an app on your phone. You'll find it up on YouTube at Dream Maui #1. MauiNeutralZone.com. Bottom line, if you want to find us, you can find us. We have an audience that we never know who's here with us on Monday at 11. If you're here or anywhere live and you want to call in and I hear or see the phone, 808-873-3435 is the call-in number. We're an interesting show. We're a call-in, call-out talk show. So if you ever receive a call from us, we're normally not giving out prizes. We're talking to someone in our community that we hope is interesting to our viewers and listeners, right? I have a terrific guest today that I've never met, but in the wind for the last, should I say, more than decades, I have heard the name Franco, Stan Franco. I met Norman Franco when I was out on the political interview circuit for 15 election cycles. That's 30 years. And I was visiting a friend who's been down on his luck and health challenges, who's houseless at the moment, down in South Kihei. And there was a young lady there that said, "Oh, hi, I know you. Have you ever spoken to my father?" So I, "Really? You know who I am?" That was good. And she immediately picked up the phone, called her dad, and I said, "Hello, would you like to come to my show?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm happy to have it." This is Stan Franco. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jason. Appreciate that.
Many of the people out here on the viewing, I hope, know Stan, but let me see what I know, and I'm going to help me fill in. Right now, you are, I want to say, you're really like Superman. You're a mild-mannered guy who is a deacon of the Catholic Church here on Maui and has had much experience in houselessness, homelessness, caring for people. You had some kind of activity with the county before that, and as I was listening, I was thinking, this is the kind of guest not only has a lot to say on so many important subjects, but it could probably give us insight over pretty much my lifetime now. I got here in 1988. You've been here that long?
A bit longer.
Longer. Born here?
Yes.
Born here. Wow. And you're 35 now, so.
Yes.
How is my description of who and what you are? Is that, that's just sort of the outside. You're going to have to jump in. I seem to talk too much.
Yeah, I think, Jason, the description is adequate. I've had many jobs here in Maui, at one time with the tourist industry, with the County of Maui Public Works Department. Then I started a shelter for the homeless with Father Bob Turner out in Pu'unene at the Holy Family Church out there. And I was with that for 5 years. At the time, we were looking, I and my board chair, John Decker, worked with Hannibal Tavares to find the present site that is where KHAO is established right now. And so there was, before that construction happened, I left and went back into government. I worked with family court for 8-9 years, and basically retired from state and county government and did some work out in the community. One of the things that I did was I was a chaplain for about 9 years with the hospital, working with sick patients and their families. So, and then, like you mentioned, being a deacon in the Catholic Church, I have done a lot of work with the Catholic Church in my capacity as a deacon. So that's sums up my life. You met my daughter. I have 3 girls. I raised them in Kihei over the years, and currently I live in Haiku, basically by myself. and life has been good for me. What I worry about is that it's not going to be as good for my children, my grandchildren, great-grandchildren, because Maui has become such a place where people are buying in at extreme amounts of money that have been poured into Maui and purchasing land and that kind of thing scares me, and the influence that it has on the political life here. Right now, the mayor has proposed a bill to try to convert back apartment zone properties from short-term rentals to long-term rentals. And that's, I think, a noble goal. I think we need to find homes for our local people because they cannot live here. You know, it's too expensive. We know how expensive to live here it is. And so I support his efforts. I know there's a lot of questions about what he's trying to do, but what he's trying to do is keep people on this island. You know, my family came here in 1880 from the Madeira and Azore Islands, and so we've been here for a long time, and have a lot of relatives, and I worry about the future that's going to be left to the people that I have been involved with all my life, and I'm just scared. I'm really, really scared about what's going to happen. I don't know how many more years God is going to give me on this earth, but as long as He's given me some time, I'm going to share about my concerns about the housing situation and how sheltering people are so important. Because if we really believe in Ohana family, we have to have they have to have a home for them to work as a family.
So you've heard it said, we can't build our way out of it.
Yes, and we should be building. And in addition to the conversion of these apartments, we need to build as well. So, I mean, we're going to find the water and the infrastructure. The county really has to play an essential role, which it has not since the Carvalho and Tavares administrations. So the county got to be there as a catalyst to make sure things happen.
We're so far behind. How are we going to dig our way out? What do you think? We don't have enough labor to be able to build at the rate we need to build out. That's what I see. We can say we're going to do it, but we got to find ways to do this.
Well, and you're right, Jason. And this is where I think the mayor's thinking is that, you know, this conversion of properties that already are in place, we don't have to build, has the water designated to them for those units. You know, we got to start there, and we got to build. County has to get land. County has some land that it can build on, and so we have to be the catalyst to make sure those get built. And it's going to be difficult, like you mentioned. I think one of the things that I really want to see happen, and this has been discussed, that we got to start building our construction industry here, getting people that are here to want to go into construction, so that they'll be the carpenters, the electricians, and the plumbers of the present and the future. You know, so that we can build the housing units that our people can afford. It has to be targeted. When I was buying my first house in 1975, an Arizume home in Kihei, it was affordable to me. I was working, my wife was working, and our combined incomes on one job each could make it. Now, people are working 2 and 3 jobs. It's ridiculous.
And when the average house is so many hundreds of thousands and $1 million,
yeah,
I don't know more than a small handful of people here who can even afford to qualify for a mortgage.
Yes.
And my big concern, you know, we're talking about the changing the long-term, the short-term to long-term. We need the units. It makes sense. And as the look at the real estate industry and knowing that it takes tax revenue to keep our whole place running, it's a difficult balance because we know that the prices are going to probably go down, yet they're probably not going to go down enough to be affordable to local people. So it's like, what are we going to do now? We got all these rentals, and the owners want rents that are still above the prices of affordable to the people that live here. So we've got this unusual problem that everything is now so high.
Yeah.
You know, it's a complicated issue, which is why
Sure, it
I
is.
stand and look at this and I say, I'm glad I don't have to make that decision. But you bet, I know that the local people here really need and deserve to get a housing program that works for them and isn't tied to building more and more vacation rental without adequately handling the needs of the present and the future. I also like experimental housing models where people don't have a house in their like little separate pods. Many people having their own little units and a communal kitchen, and you know, sort of on the idea of a, I don't want to say apartment building, but I've seen so many different models, and now in this age of small housing, and you can build them out of stand back and watch the house be built in front of you in an AI pattern construction here in the future. I know they desperately need local construction industry.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that industry will also be trained in the new technologies because it's racing toward us. And I keep feeling like the people on this island need to kind of get more hands-on with technology to let them compete on a global basis. Because otherwise, construction people with their prepackaged hit-a-button housing, and we can make, you know, we've seen so many, I'm talking a lot. We've seen so many things over the years. I've seen lots of ideas, taking the cane grass, turning it into building materials, taking and growing rapeseed oil and power and all kinds of different things. Take green waste, turn it into power. Extraordinary things. Have you seen any reason why there's been so little focus on the future? Do you think it's because of the turnover in our people or political instruments? What do you think is going on?
That's an excellent question. I asked that question myself many times. It's somewhat political, and you know, our candidates. There are some candidates that really look at what is best for the people, and sometimes the other candidates don't. You know, they get elected because they support the construction industry or the development industry. But you're right. You know, one of the things that I had the opportunity to meet with some of the mayor's staff early on in his administration. I had two people with me from Oahu that wanted to speak. So I got a chance to speak to the chief of staff of the mayor's office, and he asked me one question. He said, "What should I take from our conversation to the mayor?" And I said, "Be innovative." I think that's what you were talking about, you know, things that have been done in Kentucky, like for instance, using I'm slipping my mind now. Using the
Different materials.
I'm thinking marijuana plants, but it's not marijuana. It's the cannabis, the growth of non-THC.
Yeah.
They're doing that in Kentucky, and they're making that into blocks for construction. So, you know, we could grow that here, a lot of that here. The other thing, too, in Asia, they're using a lot of bamboo, you know, commercial bamboo for building homes. And we have bamboo forests right here, so we could grow those kinds of things.
Go ahead.
Richard Mitchell, who is the director of housing right now, was talking about the idea of having a prefab industry here to build the housing that we need, so that we don't have the tremendous cost of shipping those things. can build it right on island. So what I'm saying, Jason, there are many people are giving ideas, and I think what we got to be really seriously take those ideas and vet them to see what would work here. Not all of it can work, but we have to do something. And we've been talking for years now that, we don't have resilience here because we bring everything from the mainland into Hawaii, and yet Hawaii can grow so much because we have a 12-month growth season. So why can't we grow the products that we need that can build homes?
You should have been running all this time. We would have had a different place. You would have joined me up there, talking about things before they become critical like they are now.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen, probably not. We had a guy on here. They call him Sir Cobbleot. He takes sand and straw and dirt, clay, and builds structures. And he's built them many places around the world. There are things that can be done here. There are so many ways.
Yeah.
Yesterday I saw one with taking aluminum frame that they put at the top of fences and putting fabric on it and putting concrete over it, and the costs are a fraction. And again, with all these different models we talk about, it seems to me we could house a lot of people. And like you say, if the land, the county, the state, maybe some of our large landowners that maybe would like some kind of break, donate some of the vast lands that we have here that many thought were not usable because we couldn't take power there. We can't deliver water there. Well, now we're in a time you can deliver independent, decentralized water, decentralized power, building at a fraction. The new construction industry that I see is a construction industry that has the capacity to build in many ways, so that when we have, we got enough houses, well, can you guys build bridges? Can you guys help with this kind of things? In other words, make us, I guess you'd say, bring us up to the 21st century and have our people want to stay here. I always think people that have houses that have tons of equity and now their kids, well, they don't want to refinance too much because they got to pay for it, but we got to be able to have jobs to be able to support the kids. You've been here the whole time, and you've probably seen getting worse and a little bit worse and worse.
Yeah, well, when I was a kid, a lot of the folks here, because there was hardly any work here, we had maybe a population of 40 to 50,000. People were leaving here to go to the mainland to work in the factories, the car factories in California. And my godparents left for that reason. So they are, and there's so many people leaving right now for the reason that they cannot afford to live here, they cannot find a shelter.
Yeah.
And, we have to bring them back because they're the local folks that are going to be the leaders of tomorrow here. And if we don't have that leadership, what kind of place we're going to have? I'm really worried that we'll become a state of the rich versus the people that serve the rich.
Yeah.
And nobody in between. And that's really not Pono, I think, in our culture that we should have that.
In our country, too. I mean,
exactly.
Pretty much the whole world.
Right.
The rich and the poor and those in the middle, there is no middle.
Right, yeah.
But we must admit we are blessed. We are here on Maui enjoying every day, and I'm grateful for it every day. If I didn't keep remembering that, I could get very challenged by this. I'm here half of my life now. I'm 74.
Uh-huh.
So 37 years ago when I came here, I had high hopes for this being an example to the world of what can be done. It was before the challenges were up to our eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But it's gotten worse. Well, now's the time to, like you say, be innovative and different. I just reactivated my real estate license.
Wow.
And my intention, which is different, is what are the jobs around that you can make a lot of money? real estate seems to be the biggest one. So what if I took, and this is what I'm going to do, I say I need customers, right? Clients, sellers and buyers, who when they do it through us or we refer it through us, we get commission. 60% of what I make, I'm giving, the maximum I can give, to a nonprofit to promote art and music and create and regenerate Maui now. Take some of these dollars, and I don't want to lose my housing, so I can't make too much. I got to put it into a nonprofit and rebuild Maui. That's my intention, that I hope will set a different trend where local people realize we have way more power to change things and make things better. And as though the government can be involved, we ourselves can move on important technologies and start doing them here and be the leaders that the whole world says, look at this Maui. It's been able to regenerate itself and make it an example to the world, like the phoenix rising out of the fire. That's how I think of now. It's like, before I thought it was right time, that's your timing. Maybe God's perfect timing will take this world that's sort of out of control. You know, I don't know if I know about a devil and how all that stuff works. You have a different insight. But to me, we're all one thing. We label it differently. But when you have good and you have bad and you have things that are to help the people and selfish, it all is this sort of boils down to being the same. Different ways of looking at the same picture.
Sure.
Has the Catholic Church been an interesting, I imagine over these years, I don't know how really it worked locally as much, but when I'm watching the world and the different popes, has there been many changes going on over these years that you can reflect on?
Well, I think from the global church, Pope Francis, who had just passed away, was a great leader. He was moving the church from being more isolated or inward to being more outward, and he kept inviting all the different churches, church leaderships to come to Rome to talk with him. He was very open to meeting with others. So I think he gave us an example of what we should be doing. You know, he cared for those that are poor. He put in bathrooms and showers in Rome and to help those folks, ate meals with them. I mean, he's an example of a person that I would like to be, to show myself as a deacon in the Catholic Church, you know, out there saying, we cannot continue to do this. There are people that are hurting. As church, we need to take care of those that are least fortunate. That is, what the Bible says for us to do. And what that means is that the church has to be out there. You know, if we remember in our history, when the Catholics came to America, a lot of the work was with the poor. We created orphanages, we created schools, universities, we created hospitals, and maybe what we got to do as a church here on Maui and the rest of the United States and in the world, we have to become the catalyst again. We have to be doing the work ourselves, showing the example, because otherwise we stand back and, you know, people are hurting, and, you know, what is our efforts? Why are we not? See, I believe Jesus was a radical in the sense that, you know, he was there. He touched the poor. He ate with the sinners. He was really so different in how he represented what we should be doing. And because of that, of course, he was hung on a cross. But I think that's an example I think we need to follow, and that's what the example that Francis gave us. And I hope Leo follows that example too, the new Pope.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to me. I haven't heard him talk English yet. I know he speaks English.
Yes.
I hope they'll do more. You know, I'm Jewish, but when I go to the thing and it's mostly Hebrew, it's not as easy for me or others to join in. So
Sure.
I'm a big fan. I took 4 years of Latin in high school, but I still don't know if I remember. I don't use my Latin terribly much. Taught me English. Do you use Latin still? I'm curious.
No,
Okay.
no.
Yeah.
I had 5 years of Latin. Yeah. So, but it's, I can see the roots in words and stuff like that are from Latin words, but pretty much that's about as far as I can go with my
I
Latin.
learned about ways to conjugate verbs I never heard of before. A pluperfect. When are you talking? We still have a little bit of time, but I'm just curious. If I cleared the slate and said, what do you really want to talk about? What do you really feel like is important to Maui? Your years of experience is rich and probably has a lot of wisdom to share. That's yours.
Well, we've been. I am a very social justice person. That was my experience when I was going to college. The church was going through tremendous change with Second Vatican Council was meeting. So I'm really concerned as a kapuna, if I'm considered one, that we as a kapuna of Maui are not talking enough about the impacts on our children, grandchildren. And what I'm saying is I think we, the older people, really need to be a voice to say that this cannot continue to happen and we have to make changes. If I get political here, Jason, elderly people vote. And if the elderly people, I think we have come from the position that we're not supposed to say anything, because that's how it was when I was growing up as a kid. Be silent. We got to change that. We cannot be silent anymore because the future is so important. We are leaving our island for who? For the rich, or we want to leave the island for our kids and grandkids. Like you said, it's a beautiful place. I've been in the last couple of years to Europe and to California and that area up there, driving around, and it's crazy driving. I come to Haiku and I said, if there's 4 cars passing my house and I cannot get onto the main highway, I think there might be a party going on and I'm missing it.
Well, and I wish to say it looks like that now in Kihei, by the way.
Yes.
It is so quiet now. I'm sorry to say that, but, this, whatever is going on in the bigger world and all the things, everyone blames it on. They said, tell people not to come. I'm sure the people have heard that they should be coming. With all that's going on, it's like when you say, I'm going to go to the Maui seaside, which used to be $20 a night, is now $500 a night. Wait a minute, what's going on? The inexpensive brand of the Marriott or whatever is now Hampton Inns or Hilton. That was, it's like the prices are crazy. You have to be rich just to visit here.
Yes.
What's going on? How come no one's getting paid commensurate to that? Either here or there. Well, what are we going to do here? It's a real big issue.
And the issue needs a lot of voices. And if I talk about it and you talk about it, Jason, and there's not too many others that are talking about this, then it's not going to be heard. And we're going to continue go down the hill of waiting for somebody to do something. One of the things that I was hired by the Elmer Cavaglia, the mayor at that time, to work for the county government. And I asked him a question one time, who's going to take care of building the homes that we need on Maui? And he said, if not us, who then, was his expression. And, that's going back to my saying is that if we don't speak up now, the future for our kids are doomed. Our kids are going to continue leaving Maui because they cannot live here.
Yeah.
It's too costly.
We're already at that point.
Yes,
That's
we
why
are.
it's got to be something pretty radical and pretty
Correct.
soon.
Yep.
Yeah. Boy, I'm just breathing, seeing what we got. We still have enough time to explore, which is good. I hope I haven't been too wordy. What do you do with your time these days? You still working? I know being a deacon of the church. What does that involve?
Well, I'm retired as a deacon, so
Oh.
but you know, it involves being there and helping when there's a need for me to help. And you know, because of my age, sometimes I'm not able to help as much as I would like.
Are you 70?
A little bit more than that.
Okay. Are you like me or even more than
I'm
me?
more than you are. You're a kid compared to me.
Nah, you're looking terrific.
I'm 81 right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I have a girlfriend who's 82, see?
Okay.
Not supposed to say anything. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's so much. You've been here all the years that I've been here. I got here in 88. So
Yeah.
when I think back and I remember, Hannibal Tavares seemed really interested in being progressive. I never did meet Elmer, but I had some friends that worked for him in different capacities over
Right.
the years. And he was a doer. You know,
Yeah.
people said things about him, but that's whatever. Well, he was a doer and an accomplisher, and really seemed to always be driving forward for the people, as I've seen him.
Yeah. Well, you know, I shared with the council that on my testimony on this Bill 9
Yeah,
that he was the catalyst to get the construction industry, the unions, to develop housing for our local people. And so he set that example, and then Hannibal Tavares took over for him and finished the work. Housing was built in Napili and Skill Village and Paia and Kihei and Wailuku, and so that can be done. And why
and
shouldn't
at that
we?
time it was affordable based on
course.
wages. Now, how do you fix that one? You create a giant fund from the county and the state that does equity sharing over the next, I don't know, bonds? What do you do?
Well, you were talking about losing revenue because of phasing out of the short-term rentals, but we could tax the people that have second homes here that a lot of times are empty. That is very low in taxing, so we could substantially increase the taxes on that. So we could generate some money. Right now, the problem is the county almost has to go it alone. They can maybe get some state monies, but we got to figure out how we're going to do it, and we have to agree as the island community, that we're going to do this, and we're going to pay the price for it because it's going to cost us, but it's an investment for our kids, and if we don't make the investment, when we pass away, Jason, this island will be not where we want it to be. Like you said, I love living in Haiku. Every morning I thank God. It's beautiful. We have a light shower in the morning, maybe once in a while. And after that, sunshine, and I grow vegetables. I play with my yard a little bit. I go and do exercises to try to keep myself healthy, and other than that is doctor's appointments and things like that. So I'm not a real busy person, but I've been working on the affordable housing issue and trying to see what can be done with that issue. But I'm scaling back. That's what I'm trying to say.
But your wisdom is what's needed. For example, you're talking about working with the county. I don't know if it's true, but when you were working with the county and working on houselessness, and you had to come up with monies for projects, and you had to have backing, like whether HUD was involved, and they provided money, and the state provided money to supplement the county. But like you say, now it might be the county going at it alone because the problems are everywhere. We can't expect any money.
Yeah.
So I keep thinking that some of the wealthiest landowners, never mind our new billionaire class that's here, why couldn't they be encouraged to take some of that land they have and some of their assets and become the new bank? And over time, I mean, they don't even have to put their hand in their pocket. Just their big money credit could start a fund that would give the resources to, over time, their assets will be still the same. They'll be earning. What do they say? Let the rich get in their lifetime what they want. Give to the rich what they want. And what did Jesus say? Give to, you know the real words here. Give to the people, give to the Romans what the Romans want, but we the people, we want something else. Yeah.
Well,
thinking about that.
Yeah, well, it's a tremendous idea. We can work with those that are rich, that are conscious of being good stewards of the land here, and trying to, we got the Bezos and Oprah and all these other folks that are here.
Just their resources being known to be backing things, and it's just it's a fraction of their assets, and it would change the world here.
Yeah, I just talking to you right now, an idea came to my mind. What if we took people like myself, and especially those that have grown wealthy, or have a lot for themselves, that grew up here or over the years invested in whatever. What if those folks could be a super committee of the mayor, working with the rich that live here, to create, like you said, a fund, monies to help the local folks? Because I think there's a lot of feeling for local people. We just haven't done anything to start helping them.
Yeah. I mean, if we have rich folks here, they're part of our community.
Yeah.
And like you say, and they'd like to be able to help. When I see them give $1 million in stock to the shelter, and they can only do these things with them, that gets to be limiting in different ways. But a super fund that would help supplement the development of all kinds of housing solutions with county land, oh boy, what amazing things could happen.
It could.
You guys listening up there? Jeff Bezos, I think you're probably having a wedding to take care of at the moment. But when you come home, they're going to probably give you this report and say, you should go talk to Jason. I know when you're here, you talk to Shep Gordon, but Shep Gordon, that's different. Talk to Jason. Talk to Stan. We have a plan to help you get richer. We're not even interested in your money. We just want you to be able to shift a little bit. Isn't it true, though, that I remember one spiritual teacher, that someone asked him, well, where are you going to get all that money from? And he said, from wherever it is at the moment. We have plenty of abundance. How do I say? I'm talking to someone who already thinks like me. We have plenty of abundance. The question isn't, do we have the resources? The question is whether those resources recognize their godly, social, however we describe it, responsibility should well up in them naturally, I'd hope. At least I would hope so.
Yeah. If we get a few people, I had a chance to speak to the Emilio senior clubs.
Oh, yeah.
And what I'm sharing with you, I had shared with them, the idea that, them to get vocal, like again, people listen to seniors, they won't listen to the homeless, because they don't vote, but, seniors vote. So if the voices get strong from the seniors and from those that have become wealthy because of the real estate market, and now our seniors themselves, that maybe we can start something that can help out the future of our children.
I actually think that is a really good idea that needs some leadership. I've tried to come to see the mayor, and I've often been sidetracked. When he was running, I could see him, but after he got in his office, I haven't had access. I don't know if I'm perceived as radical. Maybe I don't really think I'm radical. I think I'm I'm feeling like God is laying down these pavers now. I feel like I'm walking on water. Because these ideas are catching more public sentiment.
Sure.
But now in our media, how do you get it out there? We can get it out there to the young people because they're on TikTok, excuse me, and Instagram and a lot of the social media. But oldsters haven't really embraced. Some of them are like, I don't want to use a computer. I don't want to know from AI. Well, AI is knowing from you. And, now if you don't have an email address, how are you going to get your receipt? Things are really shifting in such giant ways.
Yep.
I have been very blessed being here on Maui, as I've been here over the years. When someone said to me when I first got here, you should have seen it when it was really beautiful. And that was 88, and it was beautiful then. But I can see now, 98, 08, 18, it has gotten, it's a great place to visit, and living here is a real chore. People say, God, I'd love to live in Maui. Oh, bring your bank account. When you buy, there are people I've seen that you know them too.
Sure.
They come here, they buy a house, and now they're sort of locked in because they didn't have a lot of other money now. Now they're like, whoa, everything here is it's called tourists. Everyone's making money along the chain. I have had a real nice time talking to you. We have a little bit more time. We have 13 minutes. We can talk. What's a subject that's important to you? We've been talking about it too. Other things that are important to you that you think need to be out there, need to be said, or we could use help with how people we can involve in these new things we're talking about. Do you have any? Do you have the ear of the mayor?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Like you, I talked to him before he became elected. I haven't had a chance to talk to him. He did come to one of our meetings that we have. I belong to an organization called STAND UP MAUI, and we've been housing advocates. So he was gracious to come and talk with us once. So, he's been there, and I think for me, the concern that I really have, the biggest concern I have is water. Water should be a public trust. It is a public trust issue, but it's not in the domain of the public. It is in the domain of private industry. And, without a control of the water, the people have no way of really saying what happens on this island, because everything depends on water. And we need to work. And like they have now, East Maui Water Board or something like that. We should probably have boards like that for Central Maui and for West Maui. West Maui now is under state control because of the problems out there. We have a development out there that's planning to build 900 homes. Palelehua. Can't build because there's no water. And, most of those homes would be reasonable enough for our local people. At least half anyway, 450.
Why?
No,
Why will they be affordable? I think that
someone's
putting up money somewhere to make it affordable.
We the people have invested money in this company to build that housing, but we cannot do anything with our investment because there's no water. there's water, but there's not enough to,
Yeah.
new wells have to be put in and that kind of thing. And, like 20% of the water out in Lahaina are owned by the public. The 80% is owned by private industry. So, we cannot control something that is not in our domain. That's what I'm trying to say. And that's a real issue for me, that the future will depend on water. It depends on water now, and we cannot control it. And the people that have no control of it.
I don't know if you had opportunity to explore some of these new technologies, but water desalination, very expensive,
Yeah.
but may be necessary, right?
Sure.
And water from air units. I mean, it sounds like some fantasy, but there's a lot of water in the air, especially in our kind of a community, that they could actually make a house self-sustaining if people were more conscious of being economical with the resources, the abuses going on, but there are alternatives that are possible but expensive, like you said.
Yeah.
And so again, we get to that "what do you do" part. What do we do?
Yeah. And the other thing too is that I think we, as a people, we have to say to ourselves that we're going to help each other. I think we've gotten away from that. When I was a kid growing up here, we always were a community. We felt like we belonged to each other. Now, not so much. Everybody's on their own. And there's like old people that are on their own and lonely, and young people not having the resources and working 2 or 3 jobs just to maintain the rent. If they're not even owning a house, they're paying the rent, which is ridiculous, as you know.
That's what I'm talking about. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Well, so I think we're going back to the one about the very rich people who create a fund. Only because we can eat, right? We can give them their money back in kind, if you want to say money back. They're not losing anything through that plan.
So, Jason,
why don't we get on the board and we'll start rounding all you guys up. By the way, we're on KAKU 88.5 FM, the voice of Maui, Akaku Maui Community TV, Channel 54. I'm here with Stan Franco, who is, I want to say, the wizard of this island, one of the wizards, one of the leaders who has been out there for more years than we care to share, but many, and has insights into, a lot. And you're very humble. Yeah, I think you've done a lot more than you're saying. Your input has been consistent, just like I'm hearing you now. You haven't fallen back from being involved on issues all these years. That's why I kept hearing the name Stan Franco everywhere, right?
Well, I try. Like I said, I'm lonely. I need more people to come and join me.
I understand. I think that's, it's really funny. I've heard your name, like I say, come up. I hope that people that are, you guys have some fun. When I say younger people, if you're 60, you're younger people to me. I think that we really just need our parents, the grandparents and the parents, and everyone to realize that these are the times that we want to be involved. You want to be voting. You want to be informed when you vote. You want to be involved in public works projects. It was just a beautiful thing. I used to think that the Hawaiians and the Howleys and the were in separate groups, but we had that problem on the west side. We came together like we should,
Sure.
like a family. I've been doing some interviews with some of the folks out on the west side, and their stories about people coming together and helping each other is the kind of thing.
It's amazing we can do that in disasters,
Yeah.
Why not when the disaster is not facing us
Right.
every day?
Yeah.
Have that unity.
Well, I feel very, very comfortable here with you. I hope that if there's ever anything that you want to share, or issues, or any people that you think need to be in front of the public, that you'll invite them here, or you can come back anytime that you're comfortable, and you're welcome on our show.
Thank you.
And I figure at some point when Jeff Bezos gets involved, we'll get coverage, and more than 6 of you will see the show at a time. I really think that Maui is, we're just perfectly poised to be an example to the world, right? We've been that for a long time, but right now with what's going on, if we all got together and get involved in this, we can change the world and be a great example and live in that example. What a bonus that is. We not only can we do it, we'll feel it every day, that feeling of, it feels so good when I help someone. I'm sure you know that one. I just find that giving is such a natural thing. It is so satisfying that, you know, over the years, people said to me, well, why do you keep giving? You don't even really have. Obviously, I have more than I need of something that I want to keep giving. It just feels like it fills me up, you know?
Yeah, I think that should be everyone that way. Yeah, we're called to be lovers. You know, the Bible talks about us loving our neighbor. The Buddhists talk about this idea of compassion, having compassion for others. So it's a kind of like a universal concept that we want to help each other. Sometimes we sit back and look and don't say, I'm going to be there for my people, and we cannot say that anymore. We have to be there for others. That is what we're called to do. That's the structure that we have as humans, to take care of each other.
And we're not going away. This idea, you know that thing about a little bit of light in the darkness, and suddenly there is light? That's how I'm feeling. I'm feeling that more and more people are hearing it and feeling it. And I hope that you out there are going to be joining us in these efforts. Do you have any kind of desire? Do you have anyone, you're grooming any young people, any bright spots on the horizon here that you see?
I don't know if I'm grooming anyone. I've invited several young people to come and join our board, the Stand Up Maui board. And I'm hoping, you know, those folks will, after I'm said and done, that they will be the leadership for the future. We'll see. You know, everybody has their own thing, and for a young person, it's difficult too, because, you know, they're trying to eke out a living here and trying to serve on a board, or, you know, doing something else, but trying to live here is a real big thing for many of them. Yeah.
Think Lahaina's coming back anytime soon?
It's going to be a while, very long while.
A long while.
Yeah.
So I'm really not sure how. I guess tourism doesn't really take a Lahaina, but I hear a lot of people talking about rebuilding Lahaina, and it's going to be a while.
Yeah. You have to take care of the issue of the people that lost their businesses on Front Street, and this issue of climate change.
Right. There is no Front Street. I mean,
yeah, that's right.
Where are you going to put them? You can't move everyone's property back by so many feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all over Maui is going to have that issue here
Sure.
soon.
Yep.
But yeah, Lahaina is going to be quite a while. I loved living in Lahaina. When I first got here, I lived in Lahaina on Front Street down at the north end. And such a beautiful little town.
Yes,
And they got away with construction murder. They had everything squished in so close. Nothing could fall because it was all leaning up against each other. But it all went down pretty quick and burnt like crazy.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining me here today.
Thank you for the invite, Jason.
It's really been a pleasure. As I'm thinking I don't think there's anything I haven't asked you. Maybe. The only thing is, I just would hope that you, like me, will pray for the world right now.
I do every day.
I am concerned that we need more people to stand up on all fronts.
Yep.
And love each other, care about each other.
Absolutely.
There are no enemies, just
Yeah.
new friends.
Right.
You know. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Stan, thank you for being here with me.
You're most welcome.
Hope you guys will come back next week. We'll see what comes up here in the neutral zone. As always, it's a pleasure. I'm going to hit our closing music and get us out of here. Thank you again, and we will see you next week. Aloha.
Aloha.